again. The average New Yorker wastes $347 on their first day here, spends 43% of their time lost, and 80% of their time on not experiencing what makes New York City special. But you're not average, are you? Not today. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing 30 New York City tips that will take your trip from average to extraordinary, saving you tons of money and time. In fact, some of these things I feel like real New Yorkers will be a little bit mad at me for sharing them, but you know what? That's okay. You deserve it. And so we're going to be going through 7 categories of tips here, starting with the basics. So when should you visit? Well, New York City is definitely a vibe all year long. However, there are certain times when it's a little bit better to visit than others, in particular the spring and the fall. I personally love May, June, September, and October. Those are my favorite times to be here because the weather is perfect. I'm talking like just a light jacket, you know, that line in Miss Congeniality.
I'd have to say April 25th because it's not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket.
Now, Christmas is an entire experience in itself, so I do recommend coming then. It is the most expensive time of year, so just plan ahead for that. Don't drive a car here. It is a waste of your time and money. The traffic is absolutely horrendous. It's gonna take you 10 times longer to get anywhere. It's gonna cost you 1,000 times more. Parking is a fortune, tolls are a fortune. It's just not worth your time. Instead, take the subway. It is so much easier, cheaper, and faster. Make reservations early for restaurants, tours, hotels, experiences, and more. New York City has over 60 million visitors a year, so there are a lot of people competing for those reservations. So if there's somewhere that you want to go, I recommend making a reservation for that 2 months in advance if you can, if not a little bit more. If you want a tour, I'm happy to give one to you at funkyexperiences.com. You know, I have my own tour company. I love doing tours of the city. Learn the lingo. Here are some phrases that will really help you out. You want pizza? Just say, I want a slice. Another one. You know those delis or like the, what people would call like a gas station or a convenience store throughout the US? We don't call it that. We call it a bodega. It's actually a Spanish word for grocery store, but we just call all of them bodegas and they're on every corner. That's where you can get pretty much anything. If you want like super glue or a sandwich, they will sell it there. You see this word on screen? We don't pronounce this Houston, which is, yes, I realize people from Texas, this is frustrating. We call it Houston Street. If you say Houston Street, we will make fun of you. Sorry, guys. And the last tip I have for you is if you want to order like a true New Yorker for breakfast, go to your local bodega and say, can I have a bacon, egg, and cheese? Bacon, egg, and cheese. It's one word, bacon, egg, and cheese. We don't say,
could I please have a bacon, egg, and cheese, please?
We don't say that. Bacon, egg, and cheese. It's one word. You got it? Enjoy it. It's delicious. My favorite breakfast here. Jaywalking isn't just legal, it is the city's unofficial sport. That's right, crosswalks are kind of a suggestion here. Our rule of thumb is if there's no cars coming, just walk. Now, I say this carefully because I always recommend you look both ways and use your best judgment, but one of the laughable things that us locals see is when there's visitors just standing, waiting for the thing to tell them that they can walk, but there's no traffic. We don't do that. We're just like, literally, this is what we do. Watch. I just stand here, and if there is 1 second of opening, I cross the street. That's what all us New Yorkers do. Like I said, jaywalking is literally legal. So join us, but don't sue me for telling you to. This is a disclosure. You cannot sue me. This is a suggestion only and not a legal piece of advice. Thank you so much. Some of you watching may be from overseas, and if this applies to you, then I have a money-saving hack. Now, a lot of visitors forget to get an international data plan for their phone and end up getting high roaming charges. But I know a way to get it for less than $5 a day if you're here for a week. I recommend Olafly for an unlimited data travel eSIM. I use them on all of my travels. They offer coverage in over 200 destinations with unlimited 5G data plans. And their New York City one is only $29 for the week, which is $4 a day. That's less than a cup of coffee, and it's for 5G data. Plus, they have an app that makes it super easy to buy and install. Now, for those that are unfamiliar, an eSIM is a digital SIM card that is compatible with most phones, making your life way easier because it is quickly installed through a QR code in less than 1 minute. Now with Olafly eSIM USA, you have 5G speeds covered by 24-hour customer support that won't run out of data during your trip. So you have 5% off, and to support my channel, use coupon code SarahFunky. You can get that via the link in my video description or just enter the code you see on screen. Bring comfortable shoes. You will be walking more than you expect. I promise. This is something I hear from all visitors. They're always like,
Oh my gosh! Wait, the subway doesn't drop me right in front of the place I'm going?
no, I'm sorry to tell you. Reality is you're probably gonna have to walk a few blocks after getting off the subway. My personal hack, if you bring 2 pairs of comfortable shoes, alternate them each day, because what happens is if you wear the same pair of comfortable shoes day after day, those same pressure points are hit day after day and you're gonna be walking a lot. So by alternating, you're switching the pressure points on your feet and you will always feel comfortable. It works every time, so don't forget it. Be aware of where your stuff is. So if you have a purse, don't ever just like put it down. I mean, this is pretty basic stuff if you're visiting any city, but this is something I see visitors do all the time is they're not fully aware. And if you are in the Midtown area, which is where Times Square is, by the way, that is the most pickpocketed area in the entire city. So just be aware of that. You can do anti-theft bags or do purses that have zippers on the top. You don't want something that just opens up like that popular Louis Vuitton bag that's essentially just like a bucket. Like a lot of people have like that bag or a fake one, I don't judge you. Those are really bad because people can just reach right in. Just be aware of your surroundings. It's that simple. This one might be one of the most important tips I'm sharing in this video, and that is be aware of scammers. There are a lot of scams in the city. I have an entire series on scams, one of which where I pretend to be a tourist and go into Times Square and get scammed by the fake monks, the CD guys, the costume characters, the fake ticket sellers. You always want to go to the actual source. Don't buy tickets from a random person. They may not be real tickets and you're gonna waste a lot of money. Learn the grid system. One of the most beautiful elements of Manhattan is that it is designed to be very easy to navigate. And one of the easy ways to do it is streets run east to west and avenues run north to south. You can see right behind me, we have East 46th Street that is running east to west. And then you have 5th Avenue running north to south. This is an easy way to figure out where you are. However, there is a point of no return when you get to around Greenwich Village area, where it switches to the old New York system where it was all horse-drawn carriages and the streets are like this. And in that situation, my advice to you is Google Maps. Follow Google Maps, otherwise you'll be lost. Even New Yorkers use Google Maps to get around down there. We've all been guilty of this one, me especially, but I gotta remind you guys, don't stop in the middle of the sidewalk. You see how I'm off to the side right here, allowing everyone to access and walk freely? This is what you should do if you want to take a break. Don't just be walking, right? You're walking, and then you're like, oh, let me check my phone. Don't do this because there's always a million people walking around. This is just something that we really appreciate because New Yorkers, we're always walking really fast. We're always late. We appreciate it if you move to the side. That's all. The category is navigating New York City. And our first tip is map it out. Right here, we have a map of the 5 boroughs: Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island. One of the hacks to save you a lot of time is to group your activities by where you will be exploring that day. I actually have neighborhood guides that I've created in PDF format to help you do this exact task. And I also have a 3-day guide to New York you can get for free below via the link. So if you're doing stuff in Manhattan, try to just plan everything in Manhattan that day. If you're doing stuff in Queens, same thing, plan things in Queens, because traveling between Queens and Manhattan or Brooklyn and Manhattan, any of those things, it's gonna take you a lot of time. It's gonna waste a lot of time, okay? So just plan strategically, and if you need help planning, we can also do itinerary planning for you. I'll put that link below. Take a tour. One of my favorite things to do when I go into a new city is pair up with an expert guide to show me around the best places to see, the best places to eat. It saves you a lot of time and really just gives you the highlights of a city and the context of what you're looking at. We have tours at Funky Experiences, so if you are looking for a great tour, we do food tours, we do midtown tours. It's a wonderful time. And we've won TripAdvisor's Best of the Best award for 3 years in a row. Actually, I think it's 4 now.
Yeah.
So check that out. Link is below, and I hope to see you on a tour. You should explore beyond Manhattan. We also have these boroughs right here, and all of them have something unique and special that make them what they are. And a lot of the energy, the vibe, the local feel of New York is in these outer boroughs. If you need advice on what to do in these outer boroughs, I have videos on every single one of them, the best things to do there, what you can't miss, so you can check that out on my channel. New York City may be the most expensive city in the world, sadly. It's not the best award that I wanted to win for our city, but that doesn't mean there isn't ways to experience this place for free or dirt cheap. And there are many free attractions here. Central Park is free. The 9/11 Memorial is free. There are just so many things to do. I have an entire guide on the best free things to do in the city, so check that out when you're here to save some money. Next category, money, tips, and tipping. That's right, tips on tipping. Carry some cash with you. Now, tipping is very customary here in New York, so it's always good to have some cash on hand, especially if you're going to be going into certain neighborhoods like Chinatown, where there are still a lot of restaurants and locations that only accept cash. So you know you have to tip, but how much do you tip? Now, anyone that's not from the United States, I know how frustrated you are with our tipping culture here in the United States. And trust me, I also sometimes get frustrated with it, but it is a necessary evil here because a lot of the people that work in tip-focused industries really do not get paid any other way besides tips. So let's talk about it. Restaurants. A standard tip for a restaurant is around 20%. So if you like their service, it's kind of a requirement. Anything less than 20% is slightly offensive, to be honest with you. Other places you should be tipping, you'll see that in cars like taxis. A standard tip for a taxi is like 15 to 20%, although I will warn you right now, when you get in a taxi, they'll try to make you tip 30%, so just be aware of that. Tour guides, especially, they very much appreciate tips. So I recommend doing like a 20% tip, depending on how much work they did in the tour, which is probably a lot because they're literally talking for like 3 hours straight. That's a performance, people, a Broadway show. If you're going to a bar, bartenders, a lot of the time people will tip $1 per drink. However, if it's a more complicated drink, like a craft cocktail, I'll often tip a percentage of the cost of the cocktail. So that could be like $3 maybe at times. So use this as a guideline and don't forget to tip because it really makes a difference in these people's lives and their livelihood. This is how they make money. The category is transportation, and we're gonna start with how you get from the airports, there are 3 of them, to the city center. There are several ways. You can take a car, you can take a helicopter, that's right, or you can take public transport. Don't take a taxi that's not marked. They could scam you. Most likely you're looking at anywhere from $70 to $100 to get right into the city center. An easier way to do that is to take the air train. Now I have an entire video that walks you through how to get from each of the 3 New York City airports to the city center on public transport, saving you hundreds, literally. My personal recommendation is taking a Uber or a Lyft or a Revel, and that is because they are trackable. You can use the app, it's really simple. If you use Revel, you can actually save a bunch of money using my promo code right here. And if you're feeling bougie, one fun way to get from the airport to the city center is to take a Blade helicopter. Now I have a trick for you as well to save money on that. You can actually save $50 off your first ride. It's only an 8-minute trip on the Blade helicopter. The coolest part about it is this is cheaper than doing a helicopter tour in the city, and you see all the sights. So it's like a cool hack to like arrive in New York in style. By far the most efficient way to get around the city is using public transportation. And what most locals use is our subway system. Locals call it taking the train. We refer to the train by its letter or its number. We don't refer to it by color. The easiest way to pay for this is using Omni. You simply tap your phone on this keypad here and go right in. If you don't have a phone that can do that, then you can use our Metro cards here. However, they will be phasing this out soon, so I do recommend switching to your phone. It's much easier that way anyway. Avoid empty subway cars. Now, you may be traveling during rush hour and you'll see a train that doesn't really have a lot of people in it. You may be thinking, score, look at this, there's no one here.
Beware.
Okay? Because most likely it's because of a very bad smell. The origin of that smell you will determine immediately upon entry, and you'll probably run out in horror. Feel free to try it, and maybe you got lucky, but most likely there's something sketch going on in that empty subway car. Even in a place as rough and tough as our subway system, there is some etiquette. So you should always let the passengers off the train before getting on the train. If you see someone that may need to sit down, please give up your seat. Keep your bags in front of you to avoid theft and things like that. Avoid making prolonged eye contact with strangers. People find it very unsettling here in New York. And while you're going onto or off the subway, sometimes you'll see like escalators. So if you don't want to walk, just stand to the right. But if you want to walk, then go to the left, okay? It will make it more efficient. If you want to see the Statue of Liberty up close but don't want to pay $1, then one little tip is to use the Staten Island ferry. It is a free ferry. It's about a 30-minute trip, goes back and forth for free. You should never buy tickets to the ferry. If you see people selling tickets, they're scammers, so just be aware of that. But that's another fun public transportation system hack to save you money. If you are active, one of my favorite ways to get around the city is using these. This is a Citi Bike, and it is just so fun to bike around the city, especially around the border of Manhattan. You can go along the Hudson River Greenway. Now, there are several ways to rent bikes in the city. You can rent them from independent companies, but I personally find that to be more expensive and more complicated than Citi Bike, and it's because you have to get like a lock, and you also have to go to the place and pick up the bike, whereas Citi Bikes are located all throughout the city, and you can easily use them through the Citi Bike app. Most of all, have fun and be safe. The next category is dining in New York City. Try our street food. Our street food is actually award-winning here in New York City. Some of the best meals you'll get at carts like this, and it will be cheap, which is honestly one of the best parts. My personal favorite is Birrialandia. I think they have some of the best tacos in the city, or halal, guys. That is also an excellent choice. I have an entire video on the best street food in the city, so check that out. And I have a little bonus hack for you in the restaurant category. If you're looking to save some money on dining indoors, check out the app called Seated. That's where you can get discounts on dining in some of the best restaurants in the city. And if you use my promo code right here, you'll save $10 off your first meal, which essentially is like a free beer. So cheers to that. I highly recommend you try the international food in this city. Don't just stick to American cuisine. We have some of the best restaurants in the world: Greek, Mexican, Thai, Cambodian, Ethiopian, you name it, it's here. You can try the world in New York, and I encourage you to do so. And do not, under any circumstances, go to chain restaurants, okay? Do not do it. The next category is where to stay, and this can seriously make or break your trip, so this is a very important detail. I highly recommend you do not stay in Times Square. And I know that's what most people are thinking. They're like, oh, let's plan a trip to New York and let's get a hotel right around Times Square. Here's why it's not a great choice. First off, Times Square, it's gonna be like 10 times more expensive than anywhere else. Second, everything around Times Square is touristy. It doesn't reflect the real New York. Third, Times Square is just filled with like chain restaurants and like not authentic New York experiences. I recommend staying either in Lower Manhattan, Upper Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens. Just get a more authentic experience. You're gonna get a better room this way. I have an entire video on my top recommendations for hotel rooms. One of the go-tos that I do a lot is staying in Long Island City. It's only a 10-minute train ride to Midtown, so you were practically in Midtown. The hotels are around $200 to $300 a night, depending on the time of year, which is super affordable for New York City. I know so some people may be like, that's expensive. Just look at a hotel. Your average price for a hotel in New York is like $600. It's horrible. On the note of prices, if you do want to treat yourself and you're looking for a more luxurious experience, my go-to for that is the Peninsula Hotel. This is right on Fifth Avenue. It is like a very iconic New York experience, but it's still far enough away from Times Square that it just feels like really fun New York vibes, but you're not getting all the touristy crap. So those are my recommendations. For even more recommendations on where to stay in Brooklyn, Lower Manhattan, Queens, and all that, check out my video linked below. And our final category is quick pro tips. First, try to blend in if you really want the New York experience. So that's like, don't wear an I Love New York shirt. And our final tip is don't be intimidated. Now, I know that sometimes New Yorkers can come off as harsh or not friendly, but it doesn't mean that we are not actually friendly. New Yorkers are just generally in a rush and we are very to the point. So if you are ever lost or have questions, New Yorkers will help you out, okay? So with that, those are 30 tips to help you have your best trip ever. And don't forget, if you want to make your trip even easier, you can get my free 3-day guide. I've linked that below. I hope to see you on one of my tours. Thanks for watching. Bye.